often do album reviews, but maybe I'm going to start. Maybe we'll turn this quick takes thing into an album review show. Let's give it a shot. Hey, what's happening? It's Chris, Redbeard Videos, and we're here with another edition of Quick Takes, and I'm going to keep it called Quick Takes because I'm going to keep doing other things. I'm not going to just strictly stick... I'm not going to strictly stick to album reviews because, well, I don't know. I feel like if you get into a thing where you do album reviews as like your thing or as like a regular thing, then you tend to trend negative, and I'm not a fan of the negativity. I'm here to spread joy.
Say joy. Joy.
That's what I'm here for. I want to do the joy. So I'm going to talk about albums that I either like or I find perplexing for some reason. And you'll see what I mean in the near future. For this episode, we're going to look into the brand newly released album by VOLA, Friend of a Phantom. Now, it should be noted that I did have the opportunity to interview Asger Mygend of VOLA, the lead singer and lead guitarist of the band, and you can catch that on the channel. I will throw it in a card up in one of these corners here, and I will put it in the description as well, so you can easily access that. But it was a nice little conversation. Plus, he will be coming up soon in an episode of Fandom Files that I'll be doing for VOLA. So be on the lookout for that. But for this video, we're just going to do the album Friend of a Phantom. And right off the bat, I want to say that there's nothing negative to really be said about this album other than, and some people will take this as a negative. I know people personally who have brought this to me as a negative. I just don't see it that way. But to me, if there was ever such a thing as a paint-by-number VOLA album, this would be it. I think that VOLA has achieved the sound that they want to achieve overall. Now, whether or not that goes into more creative areas in the future, that remains to be seen. But at this moment, this is it feels like a continuation of their last album, Witness. And that's not a bad thing. Witness, their last album, was a combination of their first two albums, In Mazes and Applause of a Distant Crowd. Those two albums were distinctly different in their own ways, and Witness kind of put that all together. With this album, whenever you hear the phrase paint by number, that's usually a derogatory thing. It usually means this band is just going through the motions and they're not breaking any new ground. And that's true here. I don't really feel like VOLA has broken any new ground, or at least not a lot. I do have some notes on the record that I noted as a progression of sorts, but it's not anything new. So if you're picking up this new VOLA album going, I can't wait to see what is new with the VOLA world, it's just new songs. And the bottom line here is when you're doing something that's quote unquote paint by number, or it just sounds like VOLA, when you're the best at what you do, that's okay. And VOLA, right now, in my opinion, I don't know if I'm ready to proclaim them as the best, but I think they're one of the best djenty sounding bands out there, and that's a dying breed. So they're kind of keeping it alive. I mean, even bands like Periphery, which leaned heavy into the djenty thing, they've gotten away from it more and leaned more heavily into a prog metal thing. And I feel VOLA is kind of doing the same thing, but throughout this album, the bass is pure djent sound the whole time. But it's wonderful. It's not a bad thing, and I'm going to explain in a moment. But first things first, let me just take a moment out here to please remind you to like and subscribe. Please subscribe to the channel, and please like the video. It pushes us into the algorithm, and it gets us going forward motion. I'm on the forward motion thing. It's on its way. We're picking up subscribers here and there, but I really want to, I want to set a goal. I just want to set a goal to get to, I don't know, let's say 10,000. I want to get to 10,000 subscribers by this time next year. So like a full year. Halloween 2025. I'm not asking for much. It's 10,000 people. So share this with your friends, will you? All right, back to the album. The first song was a single, Cannibal, which is a tremendous opener, which features Anders Frieden from In Flames on vocals, pairing with Asger Meigen, bringing a more aggressive scream, a more brutal scream, if I do say, because Asger does scream a few times on this album. Anders just brings a whole nother level.
Your eyes have gone hiding in your head. We're looking for a shot.
It's a tremendous song. I've already gone over this a little bit. I talked about it in the interview with Asger Meigen. It's just a great song. It's a perfect opener. I think it's wonderful. But going with the theme of Paint by Numbers, this, other than the Anders contribution of his more aggressive screams, it definitely sounds like it could have been on Witness. It just sounds like a VOLA song. There's nothing wrong with that. It's a signature. Bands fall into a signature at a certain point. The second song was the first single, Break My Lying Tongue, which I'm not going to go too heavy into, but this is one of the more creative songs on the album as far as I'm concerned, in terms of the beat that's used, the electronic beat, the keyboard sound. And I'm going to get into the keyboards a little bit too later on in the album. The keyboard sound becomes something specific, worth noting.
Finding the flaw in your protest that moves us further apart.
One of the songs of note is the song Glass Mannequin. So one of the things that VOLA does very well is that they can be as chill and as beautiful as they can be heavy at times. There is a clear balance going on. I've often referred to VOLA as beautiful metal. That's what they are. To me, their melodies, their production is so clean and so well done and so precise that it comes off as beautiful. It's just pretty. It's pretty music. And that shines through on this song, Glass Mannequin, which might be one of the most chill songs I've ever heard in my life. It's haunting. And it's a beautiful song. It's very slow, but it's very beautiful. I love it. Then following that up with Bleed Out. And Bleed Out's interesting because something that VOLA did on Witness was they introduced hip-hop into this djenty, progressive metal thing, which is something I have never really heard before.
Front row seats to apocalypse are priceless. Life is hanging here in these black claws, staring at a white sky full of black stars.
Of course, I've heard rap and metal, and of course, I've heard hip-hop beats with progressive band or like, this is nothing new on its base. This is nothing new, like, they're not breaking new ground, but improving upon it. The song These Black Claws on Witness featured a rapper named Shaman. Shaman is awesome. The song is awesome. It's one of my favorites, and it's a fan favorite. A lot of VOLA fans like that song. It's kind of what brought them to this upper echelon of metal bands where they're trying to get to, okay? And they've broken through, and they were able to tour the U.S., I think on the strength of that song, certainly on the strength of the album Witness, without question. But Bleed Out, it gives like hip hop beats, but there's no rapper. Okay, so they stick with the melody. There's a few screams in there, but there's a very strong hip hop feel, especially at the beginning. And then by the end, you find yourself just completely rocking out because it's one of the heavier songs in the entire catalog. It's a very heavy song. I'm not going to go over the other singles, Paper Wolf, and I don't know how we got here, other than to say I think Paper Wolf is a great anthemic song that'll be great live. It'll be a wonderful song live. I like it on the album too, but it'll be really good live. It'll be a really good live song. And then I don't know how we got here. Again, another chill song, another nice, slow song. And there's 3 of those on this album, which I think outpaces every other album. I think there was the 3 slower songs on this album. I think there's only 1, maybe 2. I know there's only 1 on Witness. I believe there might be only 1 on Distant Crowd. I'm not 100% sure off the top of my head. But there's 3 of them on this record, and that's awesome because it really balances out the heavy really well, and they do it so well. The melodies are so kind of hypnotic and just wonderful to hear. And that is perfectly exhibited on the last song in the album, Trey.
Excuse me while I strain my blinded eyes. Excuse me while I drain another life.
Which is a borderline power ballad, if I do say so. I don't know what the markers of a power ballad are necessarily, if there's an actual criterion that you need to meet in order to be considered a power ballad, but Trey might be the closest thing to a power ballad I've heard from a band that's not trying to be a pop rock band. So it's an awesome song. It's very, very pretty, very beautifully sung, and it's a great way to end this album, honestly. But before we get to the end of this album, I want to talk about the song Hollow Kid. Because to me, this is where ground was broken a little bit for VOLA. And again, I know that sounds like an insult. It sounds like I'm putting the album down. I think very favorably on this album. I think Friend of a Phantom is a great album overall. I really do. I just think they're not breaking any new ground, and that's okay. Except for Hollow Kid. Hollow Kid gives there is a very distinct, different groove. One thing that I will say about VOLA is that when they're in a groove within a song, they may change it, but it's never a stark difference. For Hollow Kid, to me, it just stuck out to me. As soon as I heard it, I was like, huh. I'm like, that's vastly different. It's very different to what I'm used to from this band. And then add in the fact that by the end of the song, they're using downright 80s sounding keys. And that's super cool, because the one thing I will say about VOLA is that their keyboards, they're very keyboard heavy band, but they're very modern sounding keyboards. They don't often sound dated. And I know a lot of bands will purposely sound dated, or that's just what their sound is. VOLA's keyboards are always very present, if that makes sense, very current. And in this song, it's one of the few times that I've heard a retro key, which I thought was very cool. So it stuck out to me. Again, I don't think they're breaking new ground in the industry, but I think they're breaking new ground for them. And I think that's super cool. So and the last thing I want to mention on Friend of a Phantom is the cover. The artwork is tremendous. I don't know what all the artwork looks like. I'm waiting for my vinyl, and hopefully I get it soon. And I'll maybe expand on this section about the artwork in another video. But for right now, I just love the cover. The cover art is tremendous, and it's the best of their entire catalog. I don't necessarily judge an album by its cover. No pun intended. But in this case, I think it adds something to it. It reflects what the album sounds like. I honestly believe that. I think the lyrics are kind of foreboding, downtrodden at times, and the music reflects that. Except for Hollow Kid kind of has an upbeatness to it, if that makes sense. Not that their stuff is slow, but it has kind of a light air to it, which is unusual for VOLA. Usually their stuff kind of hides in the dark. Let's just say that. So overall, I think Friend of a Phantom, if I was going to rank it, let me see. I'm going to come up with a ranking system right on the fly here. Right on the fly. You can watch it live or on video, but whatever. Let's go. I have to make a graphic. Do I want to go 10? 100. 100 Redbeards. Out of 100, no. I'm not going to do that. Let's say out of 5. I think 4 is a nice even number. Let's say out of 4. No, because everybody does 5 and 4. Everybody does 5 and 4. Let's do 3, okay? No, let's not do 3, because 3 is kind of... Let's do 2. I once had a job, and they did their rankings in 0, 1, and 2 when they were evaluating your work. I thought that was really dumb. So I'm going to do that here. So the rankings will be either 0 beards, 1 beard, or two beards or maybe some halves in there. And this album is far from a perfect album. I wanted to be more excited. I wanted to be more enthralled by this. And I'm sad to say that I wasn't enthralled, but I'm happy. I'm happy with the record. I think the record is good. I've listened to it multiple times. It is earwormy, meaning it has stuck in my ears. There are songs that are rattling around in this bean that I can't shake. So that's a good sign. To me, that's an infectious thing that goes on. So that means their writing is on par. And even though I wasn't completely floored by what I heard, I was interested enough to continue to listen again and again and again. I'm not going to abandon this record like I have so many before. So VOLA, I'm going to give you 1 out of 2 beards. And I know that comes off as like 50%, but consider 0, half, 1, half, 2, and maybe even 2 half. Fuck it. 2 half is max. That's it. Or 2 plus. How about that? 2 plus is max. 2 plus is perfect album. If you're a perfect album, it's 2 plus. See, we just did this on the fly. Thank you so much for being here for this. And that will do it for my review and my quick take on VOLA, which wasn't very quick after all. So maybe I don't call this quick takes. Where's my voice? Where is she? Okay, anyway, I want you all to please go check out my social media places. They'll be on the screen here. Just like that. Like an exploding firework. That's exactly what it's like, okay? And also, please like and subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment. Tell me what you think of the new VOLA. Please check it out. Please listen to that. I assure you, if this album doesn't bowl you over, one of the other 3 will. So it's not their best album. I'm not going to pretend that it is, but it's very good. And I put my stamp of approval on it for sure. 1 beard. And with that being said, thank you so much for being here with me, as I so much enjoy being here with you. And we will see you soon. Until next time, bye.